Want to outsmart the cruise lines? There's some clever ways that savvy cruisers save money or have a better trip that while they aren't against the rules, it's pretty clear that cruise lines would be better off if not everyone knew about them. I'm Tanner from Cruzely.com and I'm pulling back the curtain and letting you know these tips because they can make a big difference on your next cruise. Let's start with a tip that's decently known, but cruise lines have definitely put the brakes on it in recent months. I'm talking about buying discounted cruise line gift cards through AARP. Now, you might have heard of this before. AARP members are offered up discounted cards for everything from movies to restaurants to, yes, even cruises. What you may not realize is that anyone can be a member. I'm personally one, and I'm nowhere near 65 years old. On the site, cruise lines sell cards at a 10% discount. So you can buy a $500 gift card for $450, and you can buy multiples to cover the cost of the entire trip. Essentially, the cruise you're looking at is selling with a secret 10% discount that only AARP members know about. But cruise lines are definitely slowing this down. Right now, only Celebrity and Royal Caribbean offer the cards. In recent months, Carnival, Princess, and Holland America, they have all pulled their cards from the site, I guess because too many people were taking advantage of the deal. So take advantage while you can because no one knows how much longer this will last. Cruise lines often promote their shore excursions with the promise that the ship won't leave without you, which it sounds reassuring, but in reality, it's not as big a deal as it seems. Yes, this can offer peace of mind, especially if you are new to cruising. The thought of the ship leaving without you seems scary. The truth is that missing the ship is extremely rare, especially if you're mindful of the time. Honestly, most excursions, they leave early in the morning anyway, and they only last a few hours. So even if there were delays, you would still have tons of time to get back to the ship. So while the cruise line's "we won't leave you" pitch might sound like a huge benefit, it's really just a bit of clever marketing. I will say, if you are doing an all-day excursion that gets you back late, then yes, it is a beneficial perk to have. But normally, I wouldn't let the guarantee keep me from exploring on my own or booking an excursion outside of the cruise line's offerings. Whenever you cruise, one strange item to throw in your bag is an old gift card or an old room key card, just in case. Many ships, though certainly not all, they've implemented an energy-saving feature that honestly I find a bit annoying. Instead of just a normal light switch in the cabin, they have one that's operated by your key card. You insert the card and then you can turn on the lights. If the card isn't there, the lights only stay on for a short time before turning off automatically. It's designed so that you put your room key card in there when you enter, but it's way too easy to leave the card in, walk out of the room, and then have the door lock automatically behind you. Instead, you can bring an old card, put it in the holder on day one, and not worry about it for the rest of the cruise. There's absolutely no sense in giving the cruise line more of your hard-earned money if you don't have to. That's why, if you've booked a cruise and you want to make sure that you're getting the best deal possible, keep checking the price. Cruise fares can fluctuate, though not as wild as airfare does. So that $2,000 cruise, it could drop to $1,800, for example. The good news is that many cruise lines offer price protection where they allow you to reprice your cruise if the fare drops. If you notice the prices drop, then you can call the cruise line or your travel agent. Depending on the line's policy, they may offer you the difference as a refund or as onboard credit. Now, just to be sure, sometimes you can call and ask and the cruise line, they won't work with you at all. Other times you can call and they are more than happy to make up the price difference. I've personally had it happen both ways to me. No matter, keeping an eye on the fare is a smart move to potentially keep more of your cash. Now, I've gone on the record to say that cruise line loyalty programs, they really aren't that big of a deal. I personally don't let it influence my decision on which line to sail, and I don't think most passengers should either. Now, if you sail a lot and you sail regularly, I'm talking upwards of a couple weeks every single year, then yes, staying loyal to one cruise line can lead you to some higher tiers where you actually get some decent benefits each trip. But for the casual cruiser, they aren't likely to reach a status level to a point to where you get that many freebies. That said, I've noticed that it's easy to not take full advantage of what perks you do get. Cruise lines, they have these long lists showing everything included with your loyalty status. It's impossible to remember every single thing that is included. Meanwhile, the cruise lines, they may have a letter in your cabin that highlights some of the perks, but certainly not all. What you'll want to do is to be proactive and ensure that you know everything that's offered to you on the ship with your loyalty status. After all, you don't want to pay full price for something that should be discounted for you based on your loyalty. I'm not going to say that bringing your own soda or bottle of wine or champagne is something that the cruise line hopes you don't find out. It's not really that big of a secret, and the rules are posted on their websites. But there's no arguing that people who do take advantage, they end up keeping more of their money instead of giving it to the cruise line. The major lines, they usually allow you to bring on a 12-pack of non-alcoholic drinks and a bottle of wine or champagne per adult. At home, a 12-pack of Coca-Cola runs around $7. On the cruise ship, however, the same thing runs about $40 when soda is priced at $3 per glass. That $10 bottle of wine holds about 5 glasses, and wines run about $8 to $12 per glass on the ship. It's really the best of both worlds too. Bringing your own means that you are keeping more of your money from the cruise line's pockets, but you are also able to bring on exactly the brand that you like instead of having to settle for what's available on the ship. Look at a modern cruise ship versus one built decades ago. The first difference that you'll notice is the size, of course. But just after that, you'll notice new ships are covered in balconies. One way the cruise lines make more money is by loading up the ship with balcony cabins. These rooms, they have their small outdoor space that's relatively private. Passengers like them because they offer light, a view, and fresh air. Cruise lines love them because they fetch much higher rates than interior rooms. Now, by all means, if you want the balcony, then get it. It's your vacation. But don't let the cruise line make you think that it's a must-have if you're on a short cruise. In that case, I'd say it's just not worth it. The vast majority of people spend way less time on the balcony than they think they will. Most people just step outside for a few minutes here and there. On a short cruise, that time it's going to be even less, as you're more likely to be out exploring the ship and ports of call, trying to pack in as much as you can. But on trips of 5 or 6 days or more, then yes, spring for the balcony. You'll have more downtime and you'll likely enjoy it more. But while the cruise lines may not like it, I'd tell you to save money on those shorter cruises. Let's talk about cruise ship Wi-Fi and what cruise lines might not want you to know, but you need to understand to be a better cruiser. I'll start with the speed. Pretty much all of the cruise lines, they have switched over to Starlink, and with that, they seem to brag about how fast the connection speed is. Frankly, I'm unimpressed. To me, the speed is usually slow, usually under 10 megabits per second. Given that you're sharing a connection with thousands of people in the middle of the ocean, it's actually not bad, but it's nothing to write home about. Honestly, if the lines didn't tout the change recently, I wouldn't have even noticed that it happened. But then there's the cost of it all. Wi-Fi is expensive on a cruise ship. What I found is that if you can hold off, then you can save a decent chunk. NCL is one such line that can help you save. The last time I sailed, I noticed that each day of the cruise, the cost of the Wi-Fi package dropped along with the days left in the sailing. So waiting to buy until later in the trip and making do without for a couple of days early, it saved me a ton. Finally, if you don't want to pay at all, keep in mind that Wi-Fi is often available in ports of call. Here you can access for free in some cases or for just a few bucks for a day pass. Now this tip is specifically for those Royal Caribbean fans out there. If you've sailed the line, then you likely know that it uses something called dynamic pricing. That's really just a fancy way of saying that you see different prices for items on board, like drink packages or Wi-Fi or admission to the water park on Coco Cay, depending on your specific trip. But even then, the price you pay, it can vary as the cruise line runs sales and simply seems to change prices here and there. One tip is that the things that you buy before the cruise are fully refundable. So what you can do is purchase a package or item through your account and lock in a price. If you go back later and see that it's dropped, then you can refund the item and then repurchase it, saving yourself the difference. Now, it is a bit of a pain dealing with multiple transactions, but it's a way to make sure that you get the lowest price possible and the cruise line gets less of your money. This is one that I've mentioned in other videos, but everyone needs to know about it. If you head to any cruise line website, you'll find that, surprise, they are running a sale right now. Or maybe you check your email and you'll see that there's a limited time opportunity to buy a cruise for cheap. You better take advantage. After all, it says it ends soon, so it's only for a limited time, right? The cruise lines, they can't like people pointing it out, but these sales run constantly. Sure, after the time hits zero, the offer may be tweaked slightly and reintroduced, but it's essentially the same deal. In fact, sometimes the offer isn't even tweaked, it's just announced as extended. To me, it's a big marketing gimmick. Don't worry about having to hurry up and book due to a sale. Even if it ends, a new one will take its place almost immediately. I can say that in all my years of cruising, I've never once booked a trip because of a specific sale, and I've never been disappointed that I got hit with a higher price. When it comes to getting to the cruise port, I've done everything from public transportation, to driving, to Uber, to the cruise line transfers. Now, I get the appeal of booking your ride to or from the cruise port through the cruise line, but unless you are traveling solo, you're probably getting a lousy deal. While convenient, these transfers, they're often overpriced compared to alternatives. Cruise lines may charge $30 to $50 or more per person, one way, meaning that a round trip for a couple could cost over $100 just for a basic shuttle. Instead, using Uber or Lyft or a local taxi, it can be significantly cheaper, especially if you're traveling with a group. You also get more flexibility in your schedule, so you're not stuck waiting for a bus to fill up. In Mobile, Alabama, for example, I waited more than an hour before my cruise line shuttle finally went to the ship. The cruise line transfer, it's convenient, yes, but rarely is it the best option. Many cruise lines like Carnival and a lot of others, they allow you to purchase select steakhouse items during dinner in the main dining room, but they are priced at a lower cost than the full steakhouse experience. For example, instead of paying $50 or $60 per person for the steakhouse, you can get a perfectly cooked filet mignon or lobster tail or ribeye delivered to your regular dinner table in the main dining room for around $20 or $25. Meanwhile, you don't have to deal with reservations or getting dressed up to eat in the steakhouse. This is also perfect if only one or two people in your group want a premium option while others are happy with the standard fare. Now, if this caught on to the point that the steakhouse actually saw reservations or revenue plummet, don't be surprised if changes were made. Thank you for watching, and again, if you thought this video was helpful, then I hope that you'll subscribe to Cruzely's YouTube channel, or you can always visit us over at Cruzely.com for more on everything from packing to parking. Until next time, happy sailing.